Shalom, this is Onia. In the Bible study the other day, I was doing a screen share, but I messed it up. Basically, I'll show you. See right here. Let's see if I can. Oops, I'll refresh that. I want to show what happened, and then I'm gonna fix that in this. So you'll see the recording is up, but see down here, that's what I was trying to share as my entire screen. So this should have been the entire screen, this box right here where the circle is. Oh wait, hold on. Now I'm not sharing the screen right now. So I'm being stupid. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now the screen is being shared. Alright. So you can see. You can see that right here, this box. This was the box that I was trying to have as the entire screen. The entire screen. Unfortunately, I accidentally clicked Sean's box. I didn't realize it would do this. I clicked it near the beginning of this recording, and when you click a box, it makes it stay on that person the whole time unless you switch it to another box. So I should have switched it to my box. I did not do that, which was stupid of me. So basically, through this whole thing, it's just on my friend Sean the whole time, instead of on the diagram that I was drawing for everybody. So people will have a hard time following along. That's pretty upsetting to me. So, but I'm doing this video to correct that flaw. So here's the paint diagram that we did. Okay. These are the two different diagrams. So we have, let's see here. Yeah. So we've got his diagram. When we messed it up the first time, at first it was summer here. Actually not summer, it was south here, north here, west, east, and we changed it up. We were putting the minus marks and the plus marks, but we were finding that how we were doing it did not correspond with what Enoch's description is in chapter 76. But we did find that my diagram corresponds exactly. It corresponds very well with the diagram. The diagram corresponds very well with Enoch's instructions about the wind portals in chapter 76, and it also corresponds in chapters 34 or something like that to 36 as well, because it describes the similar thing in those chapters. So let's see. Yeah, it doesn't go that far back. So yeah, so basically this is the diagram we did. The brown is the brown portals of each quarter are the prosperous portals in each direction of the horizon. The white sections are so I'm going to read that right now from hold on, where is it? Okay, from Enoch, what he said. It's 76. So here's how it reads. At the ends of the earth, I saw 12 portals open to all the quarters of the heaven. So there's 12 sections here, 12 portals, 12 areas, from which the winds go forth and blow over the earth. So he's giving us laws of how to tell wind. And so he says 3 of them are open on the face of the heavens. That would be the east. These are 3 right here, the green ones. And then 3 in the west. So 3 in the west, those are the red ones. And then 3 on the right of the heaven. This should be, so this was the face of the heaven. The right of the face of the heaven is the south, right here. Then, and the 3 and 3 on the left. The left is right here at the top, because it's to the left of the east. Okay, and so then he summarizes, Enoch summarizes and says, and the 3 first are those of the east. So these are the first 3. And 3 are of the north. That's the blue. And there are 3 after those on the left of the south, right here. And 3 of the west. Those are the red ones. So that's verses 1 to 3. Then we've got this. Through 4 of these winds of blessing and prosperity. Sean was thinking that's talking about the first 4 seasons, first 4 months of the year, but that doesn't correspond with Enoch's descriptions. So basically what he describes here, the 4, in Enoch describes the 4 good portals or directions that the wind comes from, and it brings good weather. And there's 8 sections, 8 parts of the 12 in all, which give bad, harsh weather. So we see verse 5, and the first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first portal, which is in the east, inclining towards the south. So the first wind is the east wind. The east wind obviously comes from the east. And so we see there's 3 portals in the east, the green ones. And it says the one inclining towards the south. So that's obviously this one because it's inclining towards the south. And in that one comes desolation, drought, heat, and destruction because it's closer to the south, closer to the equator. Then we've got through the second portal in the middle of the eastern section comes what is fitting. So this middle section here. And from there comes rain and fruitfulness and prosperity and dew. That's because during, it has a good, it's coming directly from the east. So it's a straight on current. It's kind of like, it's like if you have it in a farther off angle, if it's more in a diagonal angle from east and partially the south, it's getting mixed. It's getting mixed up together. Remember the scriptures speak of how he'd rather have us hot or cold, not lukewarm. Lukewarm is bad. And so we see the section that inclines towards the south is lukewarm in that sense. And therefore makes it not good. So I guess I would call this warm though. So this is warm and that's good. Warm is good. But this is lukewarm, and this up here is luke cold, if that's even a word. I don't know if that is, but so now, so it says right here, see, and through the third portal, which lies toward the north, come cold and drought. That's this one right here, cold and drought. So that's a mixture between warm and cold, which makes it bad because it's not purely warm. After these come forth the south winds through 3 portals. The south winds obviously come from the south, and they come through the 3 southern portals, the yellow ones. It says, through the first portal of them inclining to the east comes forth a hot wind. That's this one right here, hot wind. Now this is a hot wind, but it's also mixed with a warm current, and therefore it makes it, again, it makes it lukewarm, or luke hot. And on the same side right here, luke hot, it makes it not good. See, I'm making up words as I speak. But anyways, so I guess this would be luke cool, not luke cool. So this is luke cool. Okay, this is lukewarm, this is luke hot, and this is luke hot. And this right here is the positive, prosperous weather. So we see in verse 7, through the first portal of them inclining to the east comes forth a hot wind. That's this one, because it inclines towards the east. Through the middle portal next to it come forth fragrant smells and dew and rain and prosperity and health. That's the middle one. And then through the third portal lying to the west come forth dew and rain, locusts, and desolation. That's this one right here. Then after these, we go to verse 10. After these, they're the north winds. These are the blue ones up here. And we have, it says, the 7th portal in the east. Come from it, come dew and rain, locusts, and desolation. So what would that be? The 7th one? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I'm not sure why it says 7th. That seems like an error, as I said in the other teaching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or let's see. Yeah, I think it should be this one right here, this section right here, the blue. Oh, see, maybe it's just saying it's the 7th portal that he's showing us. Okay, so the blue right here. Then, so that is that's what comes from that is dew and rain, locusts, and desolation. From the middle portal come in a direct direction health and rain and dew and prosperity. So that's a positive current of a cold wind, but that's a good wind because it's pure. But the winds right here, that's luke cold and luke cold. And so verse 12, oh no, verse 11 still, it says, and through the third portal in the west, well, inclines to the west, come cloud and hoarfrost and snow and rain and dew and locusts. So that's a harsh wind coming from that angle. Then verse 12, and after these 4 are the west winds through the first portal adjoining the north. So these are the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining the north, this one, come forth dew and rain and prosperity and blessing. And through the last portal which joins the south, okay, this is the middle portal that comes blessing, and from this, the one that joins the south, the last portal, comes drought and desolation and burning and destruction. So that's why the one up here, it has snow and frost, hoarfrost and cold. Dew, it says come forth dew and hoarfrost and cold and snow and frost. And it says here comes the drought and desolation and burning and destruction. So in the west, you've got the cold, harsh weather, and you've got the warm, hot, harsh weather. But it's a mixture. It's not a pure current, and therefore makes it bad weather. So that's all Enoch is trying to tell us. He's not trying to give us spring, summer, fall, and winter weather. He's not trying to do that. Because you just can't make the diagram work with a spring, summer, fall, winter idea. It doesn't match what Enoch's description is. There's too many contradictions. And that's why Enoch also gives us the descriptions of the places of the earth, the different areas of the earth. The first quarter is called the east. It's giving us the reason why the east is called the east. It's not giving us spring. It's giving us information about the naming of behind the east. It gives us naming behind the south. There's word plays in the original Hebrew. You can find this in the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Aramaic. There's word plays. The Most High will descend there. That's why it's called the south. The west quarter is named the diminished. And the fourth quarter is called the north because it gives a reason. So the names are given those names for those Hebrew words are given those words for a very special reason. But this has nothing to do with the calendar. This is talking about the direction of the compass. He gives us the direction of the compass for the calendar, the direction of the compass for the geography, direction of the compass for wind cycles and weather. He's basically saying you can use your compass or your horizon area to mark for yourself the different nature observations, the calendar, the weather, the geography. So so in this diagram we did, you're in the center. The dot in the center is you, the top of your head. This circle is your horizon, a flat surface of the horizon that you have, looking from above. And when you're looking due north exactly, your eye line is going to go straight up like this. When you're looking due south from where you're standing, your eye line will be like this. Same thing for due east, exactly. When you look with your eye line, that's where it's gonna, and then your eye line will, when you go in west, looking due west, will go like that. If you're looking kind of like northeast, exactly in the middle or roughly middle, it's like this. You're looking, that eye line of yours, from here where you are, and your eyes are looking all the way to the horizon. When the sun sets, the sun is setting right here. So you're seeing, let's say you see the sun right here. The sun is setting right here. Your eye line goes right to the end of the horizon, and the sun sets behind it, right here. So that's basically the diagram to help you understand what I was talking about in the video, because you couldn't see the screen share. And now I'm going to show you the passages we read. I'm not going to go through all the notes, but I'm going to just give you guys an opportunity to read for yourself here. Actually, I'll probably read it just so that it gives proper timing. So again, I know I marked, I told you this mark right here means that it's not in the Greek, but it is in the Ethiopian. The parentheses right here means that the Arch Charles added that, and just to give it clarity of meaning. Then if you see this type of bracket, that is means that it's in the Greek but not in the Ethiopian. Okay, so those are some of those marks. So I'll read it here. And from thence I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire which burnt day and night. And I went beyond it and saw 7 magnificent mountains, all differing each from the other. And the stones were magnificent and beautiful, and magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior, 3 towards the east, 1 founded on the other, and 3 towards the south, 1 upon the other, and deep rough ravines, no one of which joined with any other. And the 7th mountain was in the midst of these, and it excelled them in height, resembling the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees encircled the throne, and amongst them was a tree such as I had never yet smelt. Neither was any amongst them, nor were others like it. It had a fragrance beyond all fragrance, and its leaves and blooms and wood wither not forever, and its fruit is beautiful, and its fruit resembles the dates of a palm. Then I said, how beautiful is this tree, and fragrant, and its leaves are fair, and it blooms very delightful in appearance. Then Michael answered, one of the holy and honored angels who was with me, and was their leader. And he said unto me, Enoch, why dost thou ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree, and why dost thou wish to learn the truth? Then I answered him, saying, I wish to know about everything, but especially about this tree. And he answered, saying, this high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the holy great one, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit, when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness. And as for this fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he shall take vengeance on all, and bring to its consummation forever. I'll stop there for a second. Here are the footnotes. Chapter 24. R.H. Charles gives his interpretations of passages. He tells us here, when it's like this mark right here means it's omitted. GG means the Greek text. Day and E means Ethiopian, so the words day and are in the Ethiopian, but they're omitted in the Greek. Beyond it, he's telling us that's a translation of this right here. That Greek, those Greek words. He's telling us the Ethiopian in the place of this says towards it. Here we have Ethiopian and beautiful. In the place of and beautiful, the Greek text says in beauty. Then he says, when it says in the Ethiopian 3 towards, the Greek does not have those words. When it says in the Ethiopian twice 1, Greek both omits the reference to 1. The Greek says rough in one place, the Ethiopian says crooked. And then we've got, it says, these manuscripts, H-O-1 and B, read excelled them in height. The Greek text just says excelled in height. It doesn't say them. Then all other manuscripts of Ethiopian that R.H. Charles was using read their height. Excelled, it's either excelled them, excelled their height, I think. Resembling is the Greek. He says the Ethiopian is easily amended, so the Ethiopian doesn't, that means that amended means corrected, changed, altered from what the actual text says. So he says the Ethiopian can easily be corrected, fixed to agree with the Greek reading. Fragrant is what the Ethiopian says. The Greek says of goodly appearance. And then we've got Ethiopian says neither was any amongst them. The Greek says, and no one else had enjoyed them. It says right here, oh, so that's a very different reading. Neither was any amongst them. No one else had enjoyed them. Right here, that's because my understanding was that Adam and Eve did have the access to the tree of life and those trees in the beginning. So I think they did enjoy them, but besides them, no one else enjoyed them. Then we've got, the Ethiopian says, is beautiful and its fruit. The Greek omits through homitilion. I don't know how to say that word, but it's HMT, an abbreviation. Then the Greek says how, the Ethiopian omits that. The Greek says fragrant. The Ethiopian says of goodly appearance. That's the same thing we have up here. Oh, so it switches it. Up here it says fragrant for Ethiopian, and the Greek says of goodly appearance, but down here it switches it, and the Greek says fragrant. The Ethiopian says of goodly appearance. Then the Greek says it blooms. The Ethiopian, apparently, according to R.H. Charles, is corrupt. Ethiopian's very. Greek omits that word very, doesn't say very. Ethiopian says and honored. The Greek doesn't say those words and honored. Chapter 25, it says ask. And in addition to that, the Greek text adds, and why didst thou marvel, which is not in the Ethiopian text. The second instance of why is from the Greek. It's omitted. It's not in the Ethiopian. The Greek says wish to learn the truth. Ethiopian says inquire accurately to learn. So it's mostly the same idea, but it's different. In verse 2, it says then I. In manuscripts A through Q and beta manuscripts of the Ethiopian, it adds the word Enoch to make it say then I, Enoch. And the Greek does not mention Enoch. Then saying is in the Ethiopian. That word, the Greek does not say that. And then which thou hast seen, let's see, in the Ethiopian, the Greek text omits that. Then we've got, let's see, okay, now going to the next page. Okay, so now I'll read more. It shall be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit shall be for food to the elect. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of the Lord, the eternal King. Then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad, and into the holy place shall they enter. And its fragrance shall be in their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, such as thy fathers lived, and in their days no sorrow or plague or torment or calamity touched them. Then blessed I the God of glory, the eternal King, who hath prepared such things for the righteous, and hath created them and promised to give to them. And I went from thence to the middle of the earth. I saw a blessed place, in which there were trees with branches abiding and blooming of a dismembered tree. And there I saw a holy mountain, and underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain higher than this, and between them a deep and narrow ravine. In it also ran a stream underneath the mountain, and to the west thereof there was another mountain, lower than the former and of small elevation, and a ravine deep and dry between them. And another deep and dry ravine was at the extremities of the three mountains, and all the ravines were deep and narrow, of hard rock, and trees were not planted upon them. And I marveled at the rocks, and I marveled at the ravine, yea, I marveled very much. Then said I, for what object is this blessed land, which is entirely filled with trees, and this accursed valley between? Then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, also you see the bold right here? That means that R.H. Charles changed what the text actually says and altered it to make it say what he thinks it should say. The problem is, in people's translations which copy from R.H. Charles, most translations do, they don't include these footnotes and markers, so you don't have a clear way of knowing what he's doing or what the actual text says. You just are expected to blindly follow R.H. Charles' interpretation, which I don't agree with that idea. So once again, we've got these footnotes here. We've got in the Greek and Ethiopian it says then, excuse me, the Greek says then, the Ethiopian says this. The Greek says holy, the Ethiopian says humble. Then manuscript G says this reading, its fruit, the dot 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 means it's too long. He doesn't want to copy the whole entire thing. So we just put a dot 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 to tell you it's the passage that he's talking about starts with its fruit and ends with to the elect. That passage right there is in the Greek manuscript, I mean in the G manuscript, but it's in other manuscripts it's correct. Then we have, he says he followed the Greek in verse 6 of chapter 25. He says Ethiopian differs in lines 2 and 3, where manuscripts G, Q, O1, and B read for shall dot 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 bones. Instead of that it says, and they shall draw the fragrance thereof into their bones. Then we have who, which is in the G text. Ethiopian says because. I think E means just Ethiopian. G, I thought, means some other Ethiopian manuscript, but maybe that means Greek. I'm not sure though. Created them is in the Greek. Created such things is in the Ethiopian. Then we have right here, blessed place. All manuscripts of Ethiopian except Q read blessed planted place. Then let's see, flowed in the Ethiopian. Greek has a different word. Dusin instead of rusin. Rusin means flowed. Greek has another word that means something different, but it's spelled with one letter different in the Greek text. Ethiopian says between them. The G text says between it. Then underneath is from the Greek, and towards or alongside is what the Ethiopian says. Deep and dry is from the Greek. Underneath it is what the Ethiopian says in place of that. The words from then Ariel all the way to said, right here, that's not in the Greek text. So then we go to the next page. This accursed valley is for those who are accursed forever. Here shall all the accursed be gathered together, who utter with their lips against the Lord unseemly words, and of his glory speak hard things. Here shall they be gathered together, and here shall be their place of judgment. In the last days there shall be upon them the spectacle of righteous judgment in the presence of the righteous forever. Here shall the merciful bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King. In the days of judgment over the former, they shall bless him for the mercy in accordance with which he's assigned them. Then I blessed the Lord of glory and set forth his glory and lauded him gloriously. In a couple places in his translations, he prints two texts at the same time, side by side, to give you a comparison. This is what the Ethiopian says for verse 3. This is what the Greek says for verse 3. So continuing. And thence I went towards the east, into the midst of the mountain range of the desert, and I saw a wilderness, and it was solitary, full of trees and plants. And water gushed forth from above, rushing like a copious watercourse, which flowed towards the northwest. It caused clouds and dew to ascend on every side. And thence I went to another place in the desert, and approached to the east of this mountain range. And there I saw aromatic trees exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh. And the trees also were similar to the almond tree. And beyond these I went afar to the east, and I saw another place, a valley of water. And therein there was a tree of the color of fragrant trees, such as the mastic. And on the sides of those valleys I saw fragrant cinnamon. And beyond these I proceeded to the east, and I saw other mountains, and amongst them were groves of trees. And there flowed forth from them nectar, which is named Sarara and Galbanum. And beyond these mountains I saw another mountain to the east of the ends of the earth, whereon were aloe trees, and all the trees were full of stacked, being like almond trees, and when one burnt it, it smelt sweeter than any fragrant odor. So, footnotes right here. He says, in the Greek text, it says gamma and eta, or heta, forget the name of it, but he says that's a transliteration of the Hebrew word gai, gimel, aleph, yod, which is found in Nehemiah and means valley. That's his interpretation. Then Ethiopian, the words the accursed, that's in the Greek, but Ethiopian omits that. The Greek says habitation, chapter 27, verse 1. Habitation, judgment is what the Ethiopian says. Then he says verses 2 to 3, the text differs depending on if you follow the Greek or the Ethiopian. Then he changed, as I mentioned later on in this teaching, which you'll see if you listened last time. Or I'm going to put this section, what I'm saying right now, I'm going to put this at the beginning of my video to correct it, so that people can see when they begin the video they can see this information before they watch the rest of it. So it says the godly, that's R.H. Charles' correction. It doesn't actually say that in the text. See right here? It's bolded, which means that's alteration. No manuscript says that. The Greek does not say godly. He changed it to say godly because he thought, oh, that makes sense to say that. So the Greek says asebeus. He changed it to say eusebeus or eusebeus, EU. Sounds very similar. So like asebeus or asebeus changed to eusebeus sounds very similar. In R.H. Charles' mind, he's thinking, oh, well, maybe the scribe was hearing it, because sometimes when we write in English, we write or type a word that we're hearing in our head, but it's not the word we're trying to say, because the words are similar in sound or similar in meaning, and then we mix them up accidentally. So R.H. Charles thinks that's what happened, but I disagree with him. Then he says, the E is corrupt, he claims. He says, perhaps we should correct the Ethiopian text and alter it to make it say, those who have obtained mercy. I think the majority of the time we should not follow his suggestions for how to amend or fix the text. We should just stick with what the text actually says and not follow his speculation. So here we've got, the Greek says his glory, Ethiopian just says him, not glory. It omits the word glory. Then the Greek says lauded, the Ethiopian says remembered, and the reason for the difference is in the Ethiopian text, the word for lauded is zemarku, the word for remembered is zekarku, very similar word. So it seems like the Ethiopian is incorrect here and should say lauded because of this similarity right here. It seems like it's a scribal alteration by the Ethiopian scribes. Should say zemarku, lauded, but it says zekarku, remembered instead. Then towards the east, those words are in the Ethiopian, they're omitted in the Greek, not found in the Greek. The other mountain range is not in the Greek. And plants, Ethiopian omits the word and, but guess what? It doesn't actually say and plants. Look, he corrected it. That's why it's bolded. So what it actually says in both the Greek and the Ethiopian text is seeds. So it actually says seeds. Or R.H. Charles claims that Greek and the Ethiopian mistranslated it as seeds, but I disagree with him. Then the Greek text for verse 3 of chapter 28 says rushing. Ethiopian says a different word. Then which flowed, that's added in the Ethiopian. Then he says these words starting from caused and ending with to ascend is what the Greek text says, and the Ethiopian says the same thing if you alter the Ethiopian vowel points, because just like in Hebrew how they added vowel points later on, they did the same thing for Ethiopian, Arabic, Syriac, Aramaic. So they have vowel markings in Ethiopian language, and if you change the vowel markings, it can fix it to make it say what the Greek says. Then we've got clouds. That's not what the text actually says. The text actually says water in both the Greek and Ethiopian. And so you'll notice that's why it's bolded. That's a false reading. It should say it caused water and dew to ascend, not clouds. But here's why he changed it. He thought, so you see it says uder, which is Greek for water. That's what Ethiopian and Greek read. And then the Hebrew, Aramaic would have been mayim for Hebrew, mayin for Aramaic. He says the original was onanin, clouds. But again, I don't think there's any evidence for that, so he's just speculating there. Then we've got aromatic. He says that's what it should say, but the Ethiopian text says of judgment. And then the Greek says exhaling. The Ethiopian says something different. And then almond tree is in the Greek. The Ethiopian omits that, but it does have another word which might correspond to the almond tree. Then we've got So let's see, 30 verse 1, went. And beyond these, I went afar to the east. And in Ethiopian, it says mountains. So it sounds like it's saying, and beyond these, mountains to the east. Then afar in Greek, Ethiopian says not afar. That's a very different reading. So I went afar to the east. Ethiopian says I went not afar to the east. Well, that's a very different meaning. Another, the Greek adds the word great. Water, the Ethiopian adds like that which fails not. The Greek says therein was a tree. Ethiopian says instead of therein was a tree, it says I saw a beautiful tree. The Greek says the color. Ethiopian says like. So verse 2, it's on the next page. Let's see. Wait, where is that? The color. Oh no, that's chapter 3. Hold on. Verse 2, the color. The color of fragrant trees, such as mastic. That's what the Greek says. The Ethiopian just says like. So therein was a tree like of fragrant trees, such as the mastic. And then 31, groves. The word groves is in the Greek. It's not in the Ethiopian. Nectar. Ethiopian puts before it nectar, as it were. Okay, then you go to the next page, and I'm gonna read this now. And after these fragrant odors, as I looked towards the north over the mountains, I saw 7 mountains full of choice nard and fragrant trees and cinnamon and pepper. And thence I went over the summits of all these mountains far towards the east of the earth, and I passed above the Erythraean Sea and went far from it, and passed over the angel Zotiel. And I came to the garden of righteousness, and saw beyond those trees many large trees growing there, and of goodly fragrance, large, very beautiful, and glorious, and the tree of wisdom whereof they eat and know great wisdom. That tree is in height like the fir, and its leaves are like the carob tree, and its fruit is like the clusters of the vine, very beautiful, and the fragrance of the tree penetrates afar. Then I said, how beautiful is the tree, and how attractive is its look. Then Raphael, the holy angel who was with me, answered me and said, this is the tree of wisdom, of which thy father old and thy aged mother, who were before thee, have eaten. And they learnt wisdom, and their eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they were driven out of the garden. So these are the footnotes right here. This is in the Greek. It's omitted in the Ethiopian. Whereon were aloe trees. It's omitted in the Greek. It's in the Ethiopian. R. Charles says the Ethiopian text is corrupt. Of stacked, that's not what any manuscript says. He, once again, he corrected the text. The Greek text says this. He says the Ethiopian was a translation of this Greek word. He thinks it should say stacked, but it has no evidence for that. Then burnt is this. Ethiopian reads differently. Then, okay, the Greek right here says dio, like 2. Smelt sweeter is the Greek. Ethiopian says was better. R. Charles says these words, starting from and after and ending with odors, is omitted in the Greek because of the homutulian problem of the scribes. That basically is when the scribes are copying and then their eyes look off the page and then they look back and their words come to the same exact word but in a different line, a different verse. So they miss a whole verse because their eye line skips back to the wrong line. So basically that's the idea here. Went, Ethiopian, he says is corrupt. The Greek, he says, is corrupt instead of far from it. The angels in the Ethiopian, the Greek omits it. We've got, let's see. that tree all the way to its leaves are, that's not in Ethiopian. He thinks it's because of that error of the scribe taking his eyes off the page and putting them back at the wrong spot. We've got how in the Greek, that's omitted in the Ethiopian. The tree in the Greek, Ethiopian says this tree. The Greek in manuscript Q say and how. The rest of Ethiopian manuscripts says beautiful and. Oh, they add those words. The Ethiopian says and said. The Greek text omits that. And then the Greek text breaks off after thy father. The rest is not preserved. So then, let me go to the next page. And from thence I went to the ends of the earth and saw there great beasts, and each differed from the other, and birds also differing in appearance and beauty and voice, the one differing from the other. And to the east of those beasts I saw the ends of the earth whereon the heaven rests, and the portals of the heaven open. And I saw how the stars of heaven come forth, and I counted the portals out of which they proceed, and wrote down all their outlets of each individual star by itself, according to their number and their names, their courses and their positions, and their times and their months, as Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, showed me. He showed all things to me and wrote them down for me, as their names he wrote for me, and their laws and their companies. And from thence I went towards the north to the ends of the north, and there I saw a great and glorious device at the ends of the whole earth. And here I saw 3 portals of heaven open in the heaven, and through each of them proceed north winds. When they blow, there is cold, hail, frost, snow, dew, and rain. And out of one portal they blow for good, and when they blow through the other 2 portals, it is with violence and affliction on the earth, and they blow with violence. And from thence I went towards the west to the ends of the earth, and saw there 3 portals of the heaven open, such as I had seen in the east, the same number of portals and the same number of outlets. And from thence I went to the south to the ends of the earth, and saw there 3 open portals of the heaven, and thence there came dew, rain, and wind. And from thence I went to the east to the ends of the heaven, and saw here the 3 eastern portals of heaven open, and small portals above them. Through each of these small portals pass the stars of heaven, and run their course to the west on the path which is shown to them. And as often as I saw him, I blessed always the Lord of glory, and I continued to bless the Lord of glory, who has wrought great and glorious wonders to show the greatness of his work to the angels and to spirits and to men, that they might praise his work and all his creation, that they might see the work of his might and praise the great work of his hands and bless him forever. Let's see, footnotes here. Companies in verse 4 of chapter 33, that's found in Ethiopian text, manuscript A, or manuscripts alpha. Manuscripts beta from the Ethiopian read functions instead of companies. Then we've got manuscripts A through M read device. Manuscript B, T2, and beta manuscripts read wonder. And let's see. Oh yeah, and by the way, when you see these little crosses in the text, that's R.H. Charles claiming that that's a corrupt reading. That's only his opinion, though. In chapter 36, verse 1, after come, it says the south wind in manuscripts A through Q, and in beta manuscripts. Manuscript U of the Ethiopian says from the south. And manuscripts G, Q, and U1 say to spirits and to men. Other manuscripts of the Ethiopian say to the spirits of men. And then most manuscripts say the work of his might. Manuscript Q says the might of his work. So that's the footnotes for this one. I'm not going to read through this one, but I am going to show you a couple readings, because I did go through this also. I didn't read everything in it, but I kind of skimmed through this in our teaching, so I'm going to skim through it now as well. So we've got on this page, let's see here. Okay. So you see it has the footnotes here, tells you the different manuscript readings. He says right here, G. So let's take a look at G and H. He said, Charles considered Masse in the Ethiopian northeast a mistake for lakel, for food. I don't agree with what R.H. Charles says. I follow the version here. So G and H, let's go to 25. G and H, that's right here. So this is what it says. This is for the righteous and the pious, and the elect will be presented with its fruit for life. He will plant it in the direction of the northeast, upon the holy place, in the direction of the house of the Lord. R.H. Charles alters it to make it say something very different. So that's just something to be aware of. Then, one second. Yeah?
In about 10 or 15 minutes, can you go over to me to get tracking?
Sure. Then we've got, let's see here. Next place we have, so it just gives a lot of footnotes in the text here. See right here, as I said earlier, seeds from it, or its seeds. Charles thinks that seeds from it is a corruption, suggests he should say plants, but he has no evidence for that. Then here's what we discussed. Sean was mentioning this later on. You'll see that where right here it says, and there I saw the tree of judgment, the smell of rubbish. Its tree looked like that of frankincense and myrrh. The other version that R.H. Charles alters it to say is something like, and there I saw aromatic trees. What is it? It's aromatic trees exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh. And the trees also were similar to the almond tree. So you can see clearly there's something very strange in the difference, and we should be hesitant to follow what R.H. Charles alters the text to say. I don't think we should be eager to accept his alterations of the text, because it's just his speculation most of the time. So you see, he just gives a lot of cool information. And then once again, 31F. So let's take a look at that. It says right here, and in it there were aloe trees, and the whole forest was full of them, like sturdy almond trees. R.H. Charles changes that to make it say, without really any valid evidence, he makes it say all the trees were full of stacked, being like almond trees. It does not say stacked in any manuscript. Okay, so he's changing things on whatever he wants it to make it say, and I disagree with that. And then again, H, what does it say in H? It says, and when one picks the fruit, it gives the most pleasant odor. That's what the Ethiopian says. He changes that to make it say, instead of it pleases above all odors, he makes it say, when one burnt it, it smelt sweeter than any fragrant odor. Well, so there's no basis for him changing these things. It's just his opinions. But the problem is you don't see that. When in your translations, most of the translations are copying and pasting the text right here, but not giving you the footnotes. R.H. Charles copying but not giving the footnotes. So that's a problem. Anything else? Oh, here's one. All manuscripts add large ones. So where's that? That's I. Their fragrance sweet. Large ones. That's the angel. Where's that? That's large right here. Yeah, large. Okay, and then He says, manuscript Charlesworth tells us for manuscript A says for L, the colors of the carob tree. Then G says leaves, but he claims that other manuscripts of Ethiopian don't make sense to him, what they say. And then also, here's an example of how the Ethiopian text can sometimes be in error. One manuscript of Ethiopian, manuscript A, says burning instead of I said. It should say clearly I said for O, where it says, and I said this tree is beautiful. One manuscript of the Ethiopian says burning, and burning, that's not valid. So, yeah, that's the let's see, 36A, where's that? Let me see. Hold on. Gates of the heaven, from where the south wind. And what does he say? He says, can mean south or southwest. Charles suggests moisture instead of the word south. That's his suggestion. So, so you see things like that. And then one more, E. What does E say? The winds. But other manuscripts say to the souls of men or to the souls into people. So that's kind of the manuscript differences. Here's the Dead Sea Scrolls I'm going to show you right now. The text that we read through. Let's see here. Sorry, here. 30, column 12 of 4Q204. Any words not in brackets were found in the scrolls and fragments. The words in brackets are reconstructed and were not found. So we see this is in the Dead Sea Scroll fragment. This as well. This is, and these words, this. And then the next page. Also this. I'm just highlighting for you guys what is actually found, so you can see. Whoops, there, and this from here, and this was found, this, and this too, and this was found. And you can see for the rest of this the same thing. This, we've got this all the way here. This was found. This right there. Okay, that's for this one. Then we go to 4Q205. And for 4Q205, we have, let's see, we have this. This was found from chapter 25 up to 27. This right here. We also have this. And we have these words, and this word was found. This was found. And this was here. I was found, part of them amazed at, and mountain, blessed, part of this word was found. Okay, that's for that one. And then finally, one more manuscript, 4Q206. is here. This was found, then I went to, and part of this word was found, to the, and then a little bit of this word, and part of this word was found. Then gave off was found, it, part of that word, then in, part of trees was found, their bark is ground, it, and then part of this word, and these was found. Towards the northeast of them, I was, that was found, and then part of shown and other mountains was found. Choice, part of nard was found. Mastic and cardamom, part of pepper. And then from there I went on, was found. Then east of all those mountains, far from them to the east of the land, all that was found in the fragment. Then he also passed on, and the Red Sea, and I passed very far from it. I crossed over the darkness far from it, and passed on the paradise of justice. All that was found. And here, in fragment 4, I was shown from, that was found. Differing was found. Then and was also found. Your mother of old, and they learned was found. That they were naked, part of the text that was found. The watchers, and he, beginning of that next word is found, but the rest is missing. And then in accordance with, and times, and also, and I was shown great works. So all that was found in the Dead Sea Scroll manuscripts. So that's the teaching I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully, now that you have the screen share, you can better follow along with the information in the video. I'm going to add this to the beginning of my video so that you will be able to have a screen share at the beginning. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this helps you guys to follow along. Okay.